I want to show you this phenomenon here. We're looking into the Hillsborough Bay. It's one of the connected bodies of water to Tampa Bay. And you see all of that dry land out there. That is because of all of the water that is drawn back into the storm surge, this harbinger of what is going to come.
No hay agua, los botes están en lo seco, no hay más, se fue el mar, se retiró el mar. Y ahí los botes están inclinados, no hay agua. Nunca había visto, nunca se había visto. Allá, ahí se ve la arena, que nunca se había visto. Las piedras están más de 1,5 cuadras, todo más de 1,5 cuadras. Todo inclinado, todo sin agua, no hay agua. No hay agua en el puerto, nunca había visto el puerto sin agua. Mira los pilares como están secos, no hay agua, se secó el puerto. Donde había agua, los botes están en lo seco, no hay agua. Nunca vi esto. En mi vida, mira, los botes están inclinados. Se dio vuelta porque están tocando ¿cómo se llama? Están tocando, no hay agua. No hay agua. Allá como para ver, hay 1,5 cuadras y una persona caminando en lugares en que siempre está el agua. Está a 3 metros al tiro del mar.
All the boats out here are around.
For Floridians used to living along the coast, Irma provided an unusual sight Sunday, a dry shoreline.
I've never seen it empty like this before, but I've seen it flooded plenty of times. But I've never seen nothing like this.
Waterways receded as the storm picked up steam.
The force of the approaching hurricane is so strong that despite all this ocean spray, it's actually sucked a lot of the water out of Sarasota Bay.
It was a similar picture across the region, thanks to a mix of Irma's fierce counterclockwise winds and low atmospheric pressure.
I've never seen the grass. I've never seen any of that before. I just was surprised.
The tide was so low, 2 manatees became stranded in the sludge and had to be rescued. And in Tampa Bay, authorities warned about the dangers of venturing out onto the seafloor, since the water could return at any moment.
The Tampa mayor is saying they're expecting the worst of this sometime after 10 o'clock, around 11 to 2 in the morning. We can see now that the rain is coming in as we're into the outer bands of the storm. And while I've still got this amazing visual, I want to show you this phenomenon here. We're looking into the Hillsborough Bay. It's one of the connected bodies of water to Tampa Bay. And you see all of that dry land out there. That is because of all of the water that is drawn back into the storm surge, this harbinger of what is going to come. Ultimately, the storm surge is going to push in this direction. And just because of the way Tampa Bay and the connected bodies of water are formed, when that water comes back in and comes back with such force, it's got nowhere to go. It's going to push up into the low-lying areas, into all the tributaries, and that's going to create the flooding effect that so many people are worried about, and that's going to happen after the wind event. But as long as we've got the rain and the wind coming in, I want to take you up here to the boulevard here, to Bayshore Boulevard, because then you can kind of get the visual effect of the sheets of rain that are now pouring in. I'm reluctant to say that you have flooding now because you've got water on the road, but that's water on the road that's a result of the rain that's coming in. That's not the flooding that has the authorities out here fearful. The flooding that everyone's talking about is what's going to come from this storm surge ultimately on Monday. So we're looking at the wind event coming tonight. Later on, as the wind is increasing, the barometer has been dropping steadily out here. You can see the trees blowing around. By and large, people are respecting the curfew and they're staying home. I see a few people out still curious, wanting to play out in the weather. For the most part, people are afraid of this storm. They saw what happened out in Texas. They're taking the warning seriously, and they're in their houses, and I guess we're standing by to see what happens next. Bill?
Yeah, that's our first big gust right here in Orlando, so it's coming your way, Mike, as well. Listen, you saw in Texas, you saw in the Caribbean, and just being there in Tampa last night, that city was empty. And I mean, they really listened to city authorities when they came out and said, take this thing seriously, and I know you have found out the same, too. So, Mike, thank you. We'll be back with you live in Tampa throughout the evening here.
This way, and these trees are starting to swirl, which we hadn't seen. They've been blowing in that direction the entire time, so we got to believe that means the winds are finally starting to switch from the other direction. I did get a chance to go out and shoot some video as well. You know, you had a guest on earlier talking about the water going out of Tampa Bay, being drawn out by this storm. We had it drawn out here. It's been out now for a couple of hours. It's still out. We expect that water to come back with a vengeance. That water being taken out by Hurricane Irma will be pushed back in as it swirls. Look at the video. The bay is empty. It even got more empty after this video. It was very eerie to look out, and for maybe even a quarter mile at the height, to see no water. It was as if a tide took everything away. Now we're told by our weather folks, I talked to Rick Reichmuth and Janice Dean, both tell us that it's going to come back almost like a tsunami. Not as fast as a tsunami, but a tsunami draws water out and it pushes it back. Same idea. This storm drew the water out. It's going to push it back now on the bay side here in Key Largo. The question is, it's coming in at a higher tide, and how much water will come into this area below me? We just don't know. We do know there's been flooding on the other side of the island, also in Isla Mirada, which is only about 5 miles from us. We were there yesterday. One of the viewers that we've become friends with who stayed here in a Cat 5 rated building sent us a photo of a home that's under like 3 or 4 feet of water in that direction over towards the ocean side, which we knew the water there, Shepard, had come up last night at about midnight. As you can tell, we're still getting wind from the east, so it still hasn't switched. But the wind gusts will come from here, and then all of a sudden we'll get one from a different angle. So that leads us to believe that this thing is finally starting to get past us at some point. Remember, we had hurricane-force winds here at 11 o'clock last night, and we've had winds consistently at 30 miles an hour or more since 10 a.m. yesterday morning. This area continues to get better.
Sean Daly.
Sean Daly, okay.
Sean Daly's checking out spots in Tampa. He was on the Gandy Bridge the last time that we talked to him.
Hey guys, we're on the beach just west of the Gandy Bridge. Couple things going on here. One, the weather is getting bad. First of all, look at the water. Whitecaps are getting bigger. It's emptying out. Isn't that odd? It's emptying out in the middle there. And it's a weird pattern here as the water's going this way, almost like a reverse surge. Another thing, the Gandy Bridge is supposed to close at around 40 miles an hour. It's got to be close to that, guys. It's got to be close to that. It's getting really, really rough out here. People are still showing up on the beach. All right, how you doing? Be careful, ladies and gentlemen. Be careful. Don't do that. Guys, don't do that. But anyway, like I said, getting very, very, very dangerous conditions out here. That Gandy Bridge, I don't want to say anything, but hey, you know, when it gets this rough, it's going to close sooner or later, and it's probably going to be sooner.
The ocean. This looks like what you see in tsunamis. When a tsunami happens and all the water pulls away from the coast before it comes back in, these guys are walking on the ocean floor because the wind is so strong that it pulled all the water out of the ocean, out of that.
What is the wind speed, you think, for it to be able to do that?
Well, it went through the Bahamas at 160 miles an hour. So that's enough energy that it pulled the ocean out from the land.
And it was like that for almost half a day, I thought it was. I mean, the water eventually came back.
And then, of course, and then the water comes back. But that's how strong these winds are. That's what we're talking about. So
all that storm surge water has to come from somewhere.
From someplace. That's exactly the point.